You know, one of the hardest things we go through in life is waiting for something that we believe should have already happened by now. We pray, we hope, we plan, we dream, and then nothing. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years, and it starts to feel like maybe we missed our chance, maybe the promise got lost, maybe God forgot about us. And in that silence, in that gap between where we are and where we thought we would be, the enemy starts to whisper lies. He'll tell you that the door isn't opening because you're not good enough, not smart enough, not connected enough. He'll try to convince you that other people are passing you by, walking into their opportunities while you're still standing in the hallway. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe that a delay means a denial. But can I tell you something? Delay doesn't mean denial. Just because that door isn't open right now doesn't mean it never will be. Sometimes God is not saying no, He's just saying not yet, and that not yet is not punishment, it's protection. It's Him making sure that when the door does open, you're not just ready to walk through it, you're prepared to stay there. Because it's one thing to step into a blessing, it's another thing to have the strength, the character, and the wisdom to sustain it. If the door opens too early, you might fumble what was meant to be your future because you're still carrying pieces of your past. See, we live in a culture that celebrates quick results. We want instant answers, overnight success, same-day delivery for our dreams. But God doesn't work on our clock. He works on His calendar, and His timing is not about speed, it's about strategy. He knows the exact moment when all the pieces will come together, when your heart will be healed enough, your mind will be sharp enough, your faith will be deep enough to handle what's on the other side, and sometimes that means you have to wait longer than you wanted. I know that waiting can feel like God is ignoring you, but waiting is often a sign that He's working behind the scenes. There are connections He's arranging, doors He's building, people He's preparing, not just you, but the ones who will be part of your next chapter. And while you're frustrated that it's taking so long, He's making sure that the moment you step through that door, everything is aligned for your success. But here's the challenge. When the door doesn't open right away, our human instinct is to start knocking on the wrong ones. We push on doors that were never meant for us, trying to make them fit because we're tired of waiting. We start relationships we know aren't right. We take jobs that drain our soul. We compromise our values because we just want movement. And then we wonder why we feel empty even when we get what we thought we wanted. The truth is, when you walk through a door God hasn't opened, you end up fighting battles you were never meant to face, carrying burdens you were never meant to bear. You've got to trust that if it's not open, there's a reason. God is not a God of confusion. He doesn't leave doors closed out of cruelty. He closes them to protect your destiny, and sometimes what feels like a missed opportunity is actually His mercy. Because the wrong door at the wrong time can cost you more than you're willing to pay. So the next time you find yourself staring at a door that won't budge, instead of asking, "Why me? Why not now?" start asking, "What are you preparing me for? What are you teaching me in this season?" That shift changes everything. It takes you from frustration to expectation, from anxiety to trust. It reminds you that the waiting room is not wasted space. It's where God shapes you, grows you, and equips you for what's next. And one day, without warning, that door will swing open, not because you kicked it down, not because you forced it, but because the one who holds the keys decided it was time. And when that happens, you won't have to question if it's the right door. You'll know. The peace will be there, the provision will be there, the confirmation will be there. And you'll look back on every tear, every lonely night, every unanswered prayer, and realize it was all leading you here. Delay doesn't mean denial. It just means God is getting everything in place so that when the door opens, it won't just lead you to a blessing. It will lead you to the one you were always meant to walk through. You know, we don't talk enough about how some of the doors that never opened for us were actually God's greatest blessings. We don't like to hear that because in the moment it doesn't feel like protection. It feels like rejection. It feels personal. It feels like a statement about our worth, like maybe we weren't good enough, smart enough, connected enough to make it happen. And if we're honest, that kind of disappointment can break something inside of us. We replay the moments, the what-ifs, the if-onlys. We think about the opportunity we almost had, the relationship that almost worked, the yes that turned into a no, and we convince ourselves that we lost something precious. But what if the very thing you've been crying over was actually the thing God had to block to save your life, your peace, or your destiny? What if that door was shut because it was dressed up to look like a blessing, but inside it was nothing but chaos? That's the thing about God. He doesn't just see where you are. He sees where that road will take you. And sometimes He has to love you enough to keep you from stepping into something that would have broken you more than blessed you. We see the surface, we see the shiny offer, the picture, perfect moment, the way it looks like the answer to our prayers. But God sees the motives you can't see, the traps you don't know are there, the weight you're not ready to carry. And while we're busy begging Him to open the door, He's standing there thinking, if you only knew what I was saving you from, you would be thanking me instead of questioning me. Sometimes a closed door is God's way of saying, you deserve better than this. You might have been willing to settle for what was on the other side because you were tired of waiting, tired of wondering if something better would come. But God isn't interested in giving you what you'll settle for. He wants to give you what He promised you. And His promises are not halfway blessings. They're not toxic relationships disguised as love. They're not jobs that pay well but crush your soul. They're not friendships that smile in your face but undermine you in private. No, His promises are good and perfect and life-giving. The truth is, some of the doors we wanted so badly were never even meant to have our name on them. They belonged to someone else's journey, someone else's assignment. And when you try to force your way into a space that was never yours, you can end up losing yourself in the process. You start twisting who you are just to fit. You start compromising your peace to stay. You start shrinking your light so you don't intimidate the room. And before you know it, you're living a life that doesn't even feel like your own. That's why God, in His mercy, will let it fall apart before it ever gets started. He'll allow that deal to collapse, that person to walk away, that opportunity to slip through your fingers, because if you held onto it, you'd have to hold onto everything that came with it. And not everything that comes with it is good for you. Some doors lead to blessings, but some lead to bondage, and God's heart for you is freedom. I know it hurts when it feels like a dream has been taken from you. I know it can shake your faith when the thing you prayed for doesn't happen. But hear me, sometimes the no is the answer. Sometimes the closed door is the favor. Sometimes the thing you think you lost is actually the thing you needed to be free from. And one day, you'll look back and see it clearly. You'll see that God's protection was written all over that moment. You'll thank Him for every unanswered prayer that kept you from walking into destruction disguised as destiny. So if you're in a season where doors are closing faster than they're opening, don't panic. Don't assume it's the end. Don't believe the lie that you've been forgotten. Instead, stand in the hallway and know that every closed door is a filter, removing what was never meant for you so that when the right door does open, it will be pure, it will be good, and it will be safe for you to walk through. Closed doors are not rejection, they are redirection. Nobody likes the hallway. That space between where you were and where you're going can feel endless. You can see the vision in your heart, you can sense the promise in your spirit, but every time you reach for the doorknob, it's not time yet. That's the hallway where the old chapter is done, but the new one hasn't started. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's quiet, it's lonely, and it will make you question if you heard God right in the first place. But the hallway isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the place where God works on the unseen parts of you so you'll be ready for what's ahead. See, it's easy to get excited about the blessing, but it's harder to stay excited about the process. We want to leap into the next season without realizing that unprepared blessings can turn into unbearable burdens. God knows that if He opens the door before you're ready, you might step into the opportunity but not have the strength to sustain it. That's why He works on you in the in-between. In the hallway, you learn patience, not the kind that just waits quietly, but the kind that waits faithfully. You learn how to pray deeper, not because you're trying to get something, but because you're trying to stay connected to Him in the waiting. You learn how to deal with yourself, your fears, your insecurities, your habits that could sabotage the blessing if you carried them through the door. You learn resilience because the hallway will test your ability to keep going when you can't see what's next. It's also in the hallway where you discover who you really are without the applause. When no one's watching, when there's no big title, no platform, no recognition, will you still show up? Will you still be faithful in the little things? Will you still give your best when it feels like no one cares? Because if you can be consistent in the hallway, you can be trusted in the room. The hallway is also where your faith matures. When you can't rely on instant answers, you have to rely on God's character. You stop chasing signs and start resting in the truth that He's good, even when it doesn't feel good. You stop trying to control the outcome and start surrendering to His plan. And it's in that surrender that you find a strange kind of peace, not because you got what you wanted, but because you trust the one who holds the keys to every door. I know the hallway can feel like a delay, but sometimes it's divine development. Think about it. David was anointed king as a teenager, but he didn't step into the palace the next day. He spent years tending sheep, fighting lions and bears, learning to lead in obscurity before God brought him to the throne. Joseph had a dream about leadership, but before the dream came true, he was betrayed, sold, and thrown into prison. Those weren't wasted years, they were shaping years. And maybe that's where you are right now. See, the hallway teaches you how to fight the right battles. Not everything in this season will be worth your energy. Some things will try to distract you, discourage you, or make you doubt what's coming. But when you've spent enough time in the hallway, you learn how to protect your focus. You stop opening doors that aren't yours. You stop chasing opportunities that don't align with your assignment. You start understanding that not every open door is a God door. And here's the thing, you won't be in the hallway forever. It might feel like it, but this is just a season. There will come a moment when everything you've been learning, everything you've been enduring, will collide with the perfect timing of God. And when that door opens, you'll realize you didn't just survive the hallway. You were built in the hallway. The strength you have, the wisdom you carry, the faith you've developed, it all came from here. So don't despise the hallway. Don't rush through it. Don't try to decorate it into something it's not. Instead, lean into it. Learn what it has to teach you. Let it strip away what you don't need and strengthen what you do, because the hallway is not just the space before the blessing. It's the space that makes sure you're ready for it. Preparation happens in the hallway. We love to talk about God opening doors, but what we don't talk about enough is how sometimes the door is right, but we're not ready to walk through it as we are right now. It's not that you're not called. It's not that you're not chosen. It's not that you're not gifted. It's that the version of you that exists today can't carry the weight of what's on the other side. And God loves you too much to let you step into something that will crush you before it can grow you. The right door will require the right version of you. That means some things can't go with you. Old habits, old mindsets, old wounds, old fears. They may have been a part of you in one season, but they can't survive in the next. And if we're honest, that's where it gets hard, because we don't always want to let go of the familiar, even when we know it's unhealthy. We get attached to our comfort zones even when they're keeping us stuck. God is not just in the business of giving you opportunities. He's in the business of transforming you so that when you step into those opportunities, you thrive. Sometimes that transformation happens quietly, in the private places no one else sees. He'll confront the way you think about yourself, the way you see him, the way you handle relationships, the way you deal with pressure. He'll start working on those secret insecurities you've been hiding under layers of success or confidence. He'll call you to heal from wounds you thought you could just bury and move on from. Because what's inside of you will always show up when pressure hits, and the right door often comes with more pressure than you've ever experienced before. We think the biggest challenge is getting to the door, but sometimes the bigger challenge is becoming the person who can stay in the room once we get through it. If you step through the right door with the wrong mindset, you'll mismanage the blessing. If you step through it with unhealed pain, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. If you step through it with insecurity, you'll seek validation in places that will drain you. And God is too intentional to let you sabotage what He's been preparing for you. That's why this season of shaping can feel so intense. You'll notice God closing off certain friendships, pulling you away from environments that used to feel like home, even stripping away roles or titles you thought you needed. It feels like loss, but it's actually alignment. He's making sure that when you walk through the door, you do it without the baggage that could keep you from moving freely. And this process isn't always glamorous. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely at times. It will make you question if you're even moving in the right direction. But it's in that discomfort that the growth happens. Diamonds are made under pressure. Gold is refined by fire. And purpose is built in the places where you have to let go of what you've always known in order to become who you were always meant to be. The truth is, the right door will demand a version of you that's confident but humble, bold but wise, focused but surrendered. It's not about being perfect. It's about being prepared. It's about allowing God to prune away the parts of you that can't handle the weight of your next assignment. And the pruning is proof that you're close. He doesn't prune what isn't growing. If He's cutting things away in this season, it's because there's fruit on the other side that you can't even imagine yet. So instead of asking, when will the door open, maybe the better question is, who do I need to become before I walk through it? That shift changes everything. It moves you from frustration to participation. You stop just waiting for something to happen, and you start working with God in the shaping process. You start letting go of the excuses, the bitterness, the self-doubt. You start speaking differently, thinking differently, acting differently because you know you're being molded for something bigger than where you are now. And when that day comes when the right door finally swings open, you won't just walk in, you'll belong there. You won't have to fake confidence or pretend you're ready. You'll be able to stand in that place with peace, knowing that everything you went through, everything you released, every change you embraced was preparing you to not just enter the room, but to own the space with grace, strength, and integrity. The right doors require the right version of you. One of the biggest frustrations we face is when our timing doesn't match God's timing. We create our own calendars in our minds. By this age I should be here. By this year I should have accomplished that. By this season my prayers should already be answered. And when those self-imposed deadlines pass and nothing has happened, we start to panic. We think maybe we missed it, maybe we're behind, maybe God forgot. But what we call a delay, God calls perfect timing. His timing isn't just about when you're ready. It's about when everything connected to your purpose is ready too. See, you're not the only piece on the board. God is orchestrating things in ways you can't see. He's lining up people, opportunities, resources, and even obstacles that will shape you for what's next. Sometimes he's not just preparing the blessing for you, he's preparing you for the blessing and preparing the blessing for you. That takes time, and while we're sitting here tapping our foot, wondering when it's going to happen, God is saying, if you only knew how much I was setting up for you, you wouldn't rush me. We live in a culture that glorifies speed. Faster is always better. We want quick results, overnight success, same-day delivery for our dreams. But destiny doesn't work like that. If you rush it, you risk it. If you try to make it happen in your timing instead of God's, you might get there, but you won't be able to stay there. The foundation won't be strong enough. The roots won't be deep enough, and when the storms come, and they always do, you'll find yourself wishing you had taken the time to let God build you first. It's easy to get discouraged when it feels like nothing is moving, but sometimes what looks like nothing is actually everything. Seeds grow in silence. Foundations are laid underground where no one can see them. A lot of the most important work God does in your life happens in the seasons where you feel hidden. And if you can learn to trust Him there, you'll find a peace that isn't tied to a deadline. I know it's tempting to measure your life by milestones, by what you've achieved, by how you compare to others, by how quickly things are happening for someone else. But someone else's timing is not your timing. Their journey is not your journey. Their door is not your door. God's pace for your life is intentional, and it's tailored for you. And if you try to match someone else's speed, you could end up in a place God never intended you to be. Waiting on God's timing requires surrender. It requires letting go of control, letting go of your need to see the full plan, letting go of your attachment to when and how it's supposed to happen. That's hard for us because we like to be in charge. We like to plan things out and make them happen. But God's ways are higher than ours, and sometimes the very thing we think we're ready for would overwhelm us if it came too soon. There's also something beautiful that happens when you stop obsessing over the clock. You start living in the moment you're in. You start noticing the little blessings, the lessons, the growth that's happening right now. You stop despising your current season because you realize it's just as much a part of your purpose as the next one. And the more you embrace this moment, the more prepared you'll be for the moment that's coming. And when the timing is right, you won't have to force it. You won't have to manipulate, beg, or push beyond your peace to make it happen. The door will open in such a way that you'll know it's God. The pieces will fall into place, the resources will show up, the opportunity will present itself, and your spirit will recognize this is it. And in that moment, you'll understand why it took as long as it did. You'll see how every delay was actually divine protection, every detour was divine direction, every wait was God setting you up for something bigger than you imagined. His timing may not match your timeline, but it is perfect. When God opens the right door, you won't have to force it. You won't have to twist yourself into someone you're not. You won't have to beg for a seat at the table, and you won't have to keep proving why you belong. The right door fits not because it's easy, but because it's yours. And when something is truly yours in God's plan, it flows. That doesn't mean there won't be challenges on the other side, but it means you won't have to live in constant struggle just to keep it. Too many of us have experienced what it's like to fight for something we were never supposed to have in the first place. We worked overtime for people who didn't value us. We stayed in relationships where we were begging for love. We bent ourselves out of shape to fit into spaces that were never built with us in mind, and even when we got in, we couldn't rest. We were constantly hustling, constantly doubting, constantly holding on by a thread. That's not how the right door works. The right door will challenge you, but it won't deplete you. It will stretch you, but it won't break you. It will require growth, but it won't demand that you lose your identity in the process. You'll be able to breathe. You'll be able to stand in it without feeling like you're pretending. You won't be walking on eggshells, worried about who might push you out or shut you down. Instead, there's a steady peace that comes from knowing, I'm not here because I forced my way in, I'm here because God placed me here. There's a different kind of confidence that comes when you know the door you're in was opened by God's hand and not by your own manipulation. You don't have to overcompensate to keep it. You don't have to constantly prove yourself to people. You just have to keep being faithful with what's in front of you, and the more you walk in that assignment, the more you'll see how it aligns with who you are and who you're becoming. When God opens the right door, resources start to align. People show up who speak into your life in ways that push you forward. Opportunities connect in ways you could never have orchestrated on your own. Even the challenges you face in that space will grow you instead of crush you. And you'll look around one day and realize that you're not surviving in that room. You're thriving. The wrong door, no matter how good it looks, will always feel like you're swimming upstream. But the right door will have a rhythm to it. Even in the hard seasons, there will be confirmation after confirmation that you're in the right place. It might be a word someone speaks that hits your spirit just right. It might be a small breakthrough at the exact moment you were about to get discouraged. It might be the sense of peace that settles over you when everything around you says you should be anxious. That's the flow. That's God's way of saying you're exactly where you need to be. And here's the thing, you won't have to compete for it. You won't have to push someone else out of the way to claim it. What God has for you is for you, and no one else can take it. You might see people walking through their doors before you walk through yours, but that doesn't mean they've taken your place. Your door is unique to your assignment. Your name is already on it, and no one else's fingerprints will fit the key. So when the right door opens, walk through it with gratitude, not fear. Walk through it with humility, not pride. Walk through it knowing that you didn't just stumble into it. You were prepared for it. You endured the waiting. You survived the closed doors. You were shaped in the hallway. You became the version of yourself that could handle it. You trusted God's timing. And now here you are in the space He always had in mind for you. The right door won't just fit, it will flow.